And that was Sarah Groves there with You Are the Sun. You're with Good News Radio, 103.9 FM, a voice of hope. And I'm Elizabeth Thompson, and I'm going to take you through this lunchtime program until 1:30. It is my great pleasure today to be able to introduce Belinda Greenwood, and later we're going to hear from Cromwell Awadey. Cromwell will be speaking with Pat, but first of all I'm talking here and welcoming Belinda. Welcome, Belinda.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Thanks for having me on the show today.
Yeah. Well, Belinda has very kindly come with Awadey, with Cromwell, I should call him. I'm not sure whether he likes Cromwell or what he likes to be called.
Yes, Cromwell's good.
Cromwell's good. That's good. So Cromwell will be here talking to Pat in a few minutes. But Belinda, you come from International Needs Australia, and you are the main reason, probably, that we have Cromwell here today.
That's right. We've brought Cromwell out to talk to the people of Australia about all the amazing works that he does for us in partnership with International Needs Australia and International Needs Ghana to strengthen and uplift and empower the vulnerable and to extend and reach them out of poverty for a brighter future. So that's what we're partnering together about today.
Now, some people might not have heard about International Needs Australia. What is their focus?
Okay, well, we're an international aid organisation that's based in Melbourne. Our focus is anywhere in the world that has a need, particularly areas of great poverty. So we need to go in there and provide basic needs to those that require that. So that's all marginalised people, usually in third world countries, and we work in many countries from Sri Lanka, India, the Philippines, Burma, Cambodia. We're just about to start working in Zambia and Ethiopia, and we have a lot of focus on Uganda and, of course, Ghana as well.
That's a very wide range of countries that you go into. Do you go in there as international needs, or do you go in there and have a presence through other people or other missions or other organisations?
We found that the best way to facilitate helping these communities and these individuals is actually to resource and empower those people on the ground in their local communities. They know the languages, they know their own people. So it's best for us as a country that can supply resources and empower them financially to supply funding directly to partners within these countries.
This is a whole shift, isn't it, in mission work? Years ago we used to go in as a mission and tended to have missionaries who did it all. These days it is about empowering people. Is this one of the ways that I noticed in your little write-up? You said you're changing the world. How are you changing the world?
That's right. We're changing the world by empowering the countries from within themselves. So our dream is that eventually we won't need to supply aid to these countries. These countries will be able to support themselves, and we need to do that by facilitating and creating infrastructure within their communities. So yes, we do the traditional child sponsorship type arrangements as well, of educating and supplying the basic needs of the young people, but we also look at it in a more holistic sense. So we're providing education for the community, schooling, vocational training, economic empowerment for families and communities, and building a whole infrastructure so that they can support themselves, and working also on a government level to change things through their various constitutions.
I notice you say commitment to creating a just world. All people are allowed respect and dignity and an opportunity to fill their life's potential. That is an amazing work that you are doing. And as you've mentioned there, it must take a lot of finance and people to be able to do this work. You can't just do it out of nothing.
That's true, but first we have to believe. We have to, as a Christian organisation, we believe in the value and dignity of all of these people. We believe that these women and children deserve to have a future and a hope.
Yes.
We have a big God that loves each of these people, regardless of race, religion or creed, and or their social status, and we feel the same. So we want to empower these people and bring them up. So firstly, we need to believe that all of these people are valuable, and that we need to give them the opportunities that we have in our own country.
That is an amazing task to do. I know that you do have a child sponsorship program.
That's right, we do. So people can get on board and regularly support that, and that provides not only basic needs like food and shelter, but also equipment for education, gets them into their schooling program. We also have feeding programs, but also within the general community you can sponsor community development projects. So that's things like fresh water, and also our various projects that Cromwell will tell you about, with our commercial sexual exploitation projects, getting children out of child slavery, putting women into vocational training. We try and support the whole community in these ways as well. So there's holistic things we can do every day.
In this few minutes this morning, we can only brush the fringe of this amazing work that you are being able to do through International Needs Australia. Where could people go to find out more information about that?
Certainly, yes, it is a big lot of projects, that's for sure. But we really are trying to get into as many countries as we can to supply as many needs as we can. So if you are interested in finding out more about any of these individual projects in any of the countries, you can certainly visit our website, which is internationalneeds.org.au. I understand we can also contact Good News Radio today to find out more on 533 999 58, or you can also call us in our Melbourne office on 1300 731 550. We will also be Cromwell will be coming back to Ballarat on Friday the 23rd.
Yes,
and we'll
definitely.
be speaking at the
Windery Baptist
at
Church.
7:30. So we'll be there, and we can talk one-on-one with people and tell them all about it.
Thank you so much, Belinda, for that. And now we're going to go. We're thinking about setting people free. This is Roma Waterman with Set Me Free, and please hang in there. Keep your radio turned on so that you can hear Cromwell speaking about the work that he's doing in Ghana.
And a very good morning to you. And this is Pat Ruddick, and I have a very special guest here in the studio with me today, Mr. Cromwell Awadey from Ghana. Big welcome to you, Cromwell.
Thank you very much.
And this is your first time in Australia, isn't it?
Definitely, this is my first time.
And I think that people are going to keep you very busy while you're here, aren't they?
Yes, I'm sure.
Yes. So far, Cromwell has spoken at Carmel Welsh Church here in Ballarat yesterday at the morning and evening service. And today he's speaking here. This morning he was speaking on the ABC radio. And I believe he's spoken on Voice FM. Is that right? Yes. And this afternoon he's going to be interviewed by the Courier. So he's going to be very busy. And of course he's only just arrived in the country yesterday, so we hope that you don't suffer too much jet lag.
I hope so too.
Okay. To all of our listeners, Cromwell is here with an organization called International Needs. And just a few minutes ago, Elizabeth was able to interview Belinda Greenwood, who is in charge of International Needs here in Australia, in Melbourne. And she gave a little bit of a background on what International Needs does. And Cromwell is the representative for International Needs in Ghana, in West Africa. And so we're going to be talking to him in a couple of minutes about that. And he's going to be speaking here in Ballarat on child trafficking, an area which a lot of people don't know that much about. So before we start that, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Cromwell Awadey, and I'm the head of programs, International Needs Ghana. And my work involves coordinating all programs of our organization back in Ghana, writing projects, seeking for grants, and seeing to the implementation of the projects that we receive grants for.
Okay. And you have a family?
Yes, I have a family. I have 3 children,
Very good.
2 daughters and a son,
Yes.
and a wife.
So I suppose, you know, the fact that you have children of your own brings some of the projects that you're doing very close to your heart, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And that's an organization, our focus is mainly on women and children.
Yes, yes. And there's such a need in that area. They seem to be the ones that are most vulnerable in communities around the world today, don't they?
They are. And they also form a greater bulk of populations across the world.
Yes.
In Ghana, women are in the majority, and young people are also in the majority when it comes to the population figures.
Yes, yes, okay. Could you tell us a little bit about Ghana? We know that it's in West Africa, but there might be a lot of our listeners who don't know that much about your country.
Well, Ghana is a small country, not too small, in West Africa. We are the second largest producer of cocoa, exporter of cocoa in the world, which is used in making the various chocolates that we enjoy.
Yes.
And we have gold, and a couple of Australian firms are also mining gold in Ghana. We have other minerals such as diamond, bauxite, and manganese, and we have some timber. Basically, it's a very basic economy, driven mainly by agriculture.
Okay. So when you think about these main industries, is there a connection between those and the problems with your main industries and child labor? Is there a concern there?
In Ghana, the formal sector, what we call the formal sector, is very small. So it's driven mainly, the country's economy is driven mainly by the informal sector, where regulation is weak.
Right.
So in the mining sector, for instance, we do not have the large and the big companies using the labor of children. But in the small sector, which is the informal sector, they are able to get children to do the mining. In the fishing sector, for instance, we don't have children operating the trawlers. Of course, we don't even have too many of that.
No.
But it's the local indigenous fishing, expeditions. They use children.
Yes. Can I ask how young would the children be? What ages would they be roughly?
Well, you have children as young as 5 years going fishing. As young as 6, 5 going fishing.
Okay.
And then in the cities and in tourist centers, we have the problem of commercial sexual exploitation of children.
Yes.
And it's also in the informal sector. You don't have the main hotels engaging or encouraging this kind of activity.
Okay. Now, speaking about that area, I'm going to get you to speak a little bit more in detail about your work. You're heading up a project in Ghana with international needs, which is called CSEC, the CSEC project. Could you tell us a little bit more detail about what you do and how you're able to help the most vulnerable children in your country?
Well, when we talk about CSEC, we're talking about the commercial sexual exploitation of children.
Yes.
That's how we got the acronym CSEC.
Yes.
And CSEC is one of the worst forms of child labor identified by the International Labour Organization under Convention 182, which was passed in 1999 in Denmark. And we are working in Ghana to eliminate one of this worst form of child labor, which is the commercial sexual exploitation of children. Basically, we see it as an abuse of the rights of the child. We see it as exploiting the vulnerability of the child because the child is poor.
Yes.
Because the parents of the child may be poor. Because the child has relocated into the city and is struggling with city life. And people take advantage of their situation to exploit them.
Yes.
And what we do is we raise a lot of awareness within the communities. By awareness raising, I mean we engage with the community members, we do education, we provide information on commercial sexual exploitation, the hazards associated with it, what the children suffer, the consequences to the child, the family, the community, and the state.
Okay. Some excellent work there. How many staff would you have working with you? Do you have quite a number?
On the CSEC project, as the Commercial Sexual Exploitation of Children project, we have a staff strength of 4.
Oh, right.
And then we also have 4 counselors whom we have trained.
Yes.
And we're working also with community members. So they help us with they have the full knowledge of their communities, the suburbs. And they help us in identifying the children. Then we come in with our counselors, we do screening, provide some privacy for these children, screen them, and then we move them to the next phase of withdrawing them from the practice or from this exploitative work.
Yes.
And then placing them back to school, because children are supposed to be in school or learning a trade. So we do both for them, depending on what the child can do.
Okay. Now, where would you get your funding from for all of this?
Presently, we have got funding from AUSAID and International Needs Australia.
Okay.
And we are running a 3-year project, which we began in July last year. And it will span 3 years. And that's why we got the funding from.
Okay, very
So there
good.
is an Australian connection.
Right. Now, in the article that was in the local paper, it mentions Turcosi. A lot of people would not be familiar with that word. It's a very bad system regarding children. Could you explain that to us? It says that it's basically been eradicated from Ghana. Is that right?
Yeah, to a very large extent, yes. We've done a lot of advocacy work. We've done a lot of direct action, getting the women liberated from the Turcosi practice, which is a cultural practice in the southeastern parts of southeastern Ghana, which involves the use of young virgin girls as atonement or to pay for the crimes committed by family members. And these girls are placed in the shrine. Their rights are denied them. It is dehumanizing. Most of them do not get to go to school again when they are sent there. Their children are fathered in many cases by the priests who oversee or who are the overlords of the shrines, and they provide labor on the farm, for the priest, and they do not get a lot their daily bread in many cases.
Yes.
So most of these women are poor.
Yes.
And the poverty is passed on to their children. So there is that intergenerational cycle of poverty introduced into the family line. We have been able to do a lot of engagement with the practitioners, and through that we've been able to liberate over 3,500 of them.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's good to have numbers sometimes, statistics,
Yes.
isn't it? To see the amount of work you're able to do. That's really exciting. So we're going to actually go now to a song, and this song is called Beautiful Slave. And the words of this are very powerful, so if you're listening, I encourage you to listen to these words. And then we'll be back with Cromwell again to speak a little bit more about child trafficking. And that was an incredible song called Beautiful Slave by a group called Take No Glory. I encourage you to look at that on YouTube if you can, and to listen to the words. They're very powerful. And we're back with Cromwell Awadey, who's just arrived here from Ghana, and he's working with International Needs, and he's here in Australia for the first time to talk on radio and different churches, and to speaking to different groups about child trafficking. So we welcome you again,
Thank you.
Cromwell. And I don't know, some people might have missed the first part of our interview. Cromwell's been sharing with us about what the wonderful work that he's doing with international needs in Ghana with CSEC. And we've been talking about trafficking. There might be people out there that don't really know what trafficking means. According to the dictionary, it's the recruitment, transport, and transfer of children through abduction. And Cromwell, I just wanted to ask you, why do you think that people around the world know so little about this important area of child trafficking? What do you think about that?
Well, maybe it's due to the fact that traffickers always try to disguise their activities. They make it look like the children are their children. They make it look like it's normal, or it's routine transfer of children, and children being as innocent as they are may remain quiet in most cases. So it takes a well-trained person to identify a trafficker, or communities which are well informed on trafficking. And they board the same buses that you and I board. They go by boats that you and I take.
Yes.
And you may think that this is the mother of that child.
Yes.
Or is the father of that child. They are not abusive in public.
No.
They appear to be loving.
Yes.
So in most cases they use deception.
Yes.
So it's not in most cases abduction by force.
Yes.
But rather by deception.
Right. I heard recently on the news that they had discovered that there was child trafficking from Africa into the United Kingdom, that there was a lot of that going on. I think people were really horrified to hear that. But again, like you say, it's all done very secretively, isn't it?
Yeah.
And after looking on the internet, people might not realize this, but there is trafficking into Australia as well. And it does happen, and it's happening right under our noses, and we're just not aware of it. So I suppose it happens in a lot of countries, though, doesn't it?
It happens in a lot of countries, and the International Labour Organization is now up in arms against it. I know your own country is also put in place a child protection policy.
Yes.
Just to prevent children from being trafficked.
Yes. Yes.
In and out of the country.
And can you tell me who are the most vulnerable children in these situations?
The most vulnerable children are usually children from poor background, children who have been exposed to all manner of strangers, and children who have not been given some information or education on who a potential trafficker is and what the signs they must look for.
Yes.
And these are the children who are vulnerable. So they think that anybody showing them love is genuine.
Yes.
Anybody showing concern is doing it from a genuine heart.
Yes. Yes. Children are very trusting, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yes. Yes. And yes, I've just returned from Vietnam, and I was told there that there are no rights for children in Vietnam, which horrified me, that children have no rights. There are no government policies laid down to protect children in that country. And then I started to wonder whether this was similar for a lot of countries.
Interestingly, Ghana was the first country to sign up to the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child.
Right.
And we immediately put in place a law to protect children, the Children's Act of Ghana, which was passed in 1998. The problem, however, is the implementation of this law to the letter, and that's where we are lacking. So for us, non-governmental organizations, we come in to support and push for the total implementation of the law.
Yes.
Because the enforcers of the law are limited in the amount of resources they have at their disposal to really push for the protection of children.
Yes, yes. And so in the work that you're doing with CSEC, you not only help those children that have been involved in trafficking to recover from that, but you also try to prevent that as well, don't you?
Yes, we do. We try to prevent. We have a criteria in place that points to the fact that if nothing is done on this particular group of children, they are likely to fall into the hands of traffickers. They are likely to become victims of commercial sexual exploitation. So we provide them with information, and those who are very poor, we do direct action. We get them back to school, and then we counsel them so they don't fall into in the hands of traffickers.
Very good. Now, I don't know, Cromwell, there might be some other things that we didn't cover that you would really like to say to our listeners before we finish. We really appreciate you taking the time to come in and share with us. So,
yeah, basically, women and children constitute a vulnerable, segment of the population. And International Needs Ghana is working to empower women. We're running a second project which seeks to empower women, promote their rights, and provide economic empowerment through skills training and then advocacy work, so that, because when women are empowered, women in Ghana are caregivers like women elsewhere. If they are empowered, they can stand up for the rights of their children.
Yes.
So it makes the work holistic. And these two projects have Australian connections, in that the Australian government through OZID is funding it, with matching funds from International Needs Australia.
Okay. It's wonderful to hear that you're working with the women too, because I've often heard that when women they are given money, they don't waste it. They spend it on their family. They spend it to increase the conditions of their children and make things better for them. And they're very wise with their money, aren't they?
They are.
Yes, yeah. Which is really good to hear. So that's wonderful that you're able to support them in that. Now, I'd just like to give a little bit of information on what Cromwell is going to be doing on Friday night, the 23rd of March at 7:30. Cromwell is going to be speaking here in Ballarat at Wendouree Baptist Church, which is at the corner of Grevillea Road and Forest Street. We would prefer that no children came, no children under 15, please, because there are going to be probably some sensitive areas discussed and maybe viewed, and it will be involving adult themes as well. So we encourage you, please don't bring your children to that. But if you're interested in this area, it's a very important area, we encourage you to come along. We also would like to remind you that Cromwell is going to be interviewed by the Courier this afternoon, and you'll probably be able to see that article in the paper with probably a picture of him, maybe in tomorrow's paper. So we encourage you to look at that too. Please tell your family, your friends, anyone that you feel would be very interested in this area. It's a wonderful opportunity having Cromwell here in Australia with us. And we just want to thank you for coming in and sharing with us and opening our eyes to a lot of very important areas regarding women and children. Thank you, Cromwell, for coming.
Thank you very much also for the good work you're doing.
Yes, God bless you.
God bless you too.
And we hope your stay in Australia is a good one.
Thank you.